We are interrupting regular programming with a special global finance report. A new and highly detailed personal economic strategy is circulating through online communities and financial forums, and it has caught the attention of market analysts and behavioral economists worldwide. It is being called the 100 Account Growth Plan, and its principles are sparking intense debate from Wall Street to Main Street. At its core, this is not about get-rich-quick schemes or high-risk gambling. Instead, it proposes a disciplined, almost scientific approach to capital appreciation, starting with the most accessible of entry points: $100. What exactly is the 100 Account Growth Plan? In essence, it is a structured methodology for micro-investing that prioritizes risk mitigation and the relentless power of compounding profits. The premise is deceptively simple. An individual establishes a trading or investment account with a modest sum of $100. From that point forward, the investor adheres to a strict set of rules designed not for exponential overnight gains, but for consistent, incremental growth. The strategy explicitly forbids injecting additional external capital. The only fuel for the account's growth is the profit generated from its own activities. This creates a closed-loop financial ecosystem, forcing the investor to master the mechanics of profit generation without a safety net of fresh funds. The historical context for this strategy is critical to understanding its current relevance. For decades, the world of investing was an institution-dominated arena. High brokerage fees, minimum deposit requirements, and a lack of accessible information created a formidable barrier to entry for the average citizen. The democratization of finance, driven by technology, has dismantled those walls. Today, mobile applications and online brokerages offer commission-free trading and fractional shares, making it possible to invest 50 cents in a blue-chip company. The 100 Account Growth Plan is a direct product of this new landscape. It leverages the technological infrastructure of the 21st century to apply investment principles that are centuries old. The global economic impact of this trend, should it gain widespread adoption, could be significant. Central banks and financial regulators are watching these micro-investing movements with a mixture of optimism and concern. On one hand, a population of disciplined, long-term investors contributes to market stability and provides a deeper pool of capital for businesses. On the other hand, the potential for widespread financial misinformation and the inherent risks of market participation among inexperienced investors pose new challenges for consumer protection agencies. If millions of individuals begin managing small, high-risk accounts, the cumulative effect of their successes and failures could create new, unpredictable undercurrents in the broader financial system. How did this specific plan emerge? It appears to be a grassroots development, synthesized from various schools of investment thought. It borrows the patience and long-term horizon of value investing, the risk management tactics of professional traders, and the mathematical certainty of compound interest, a concept Albert Einstein reportedly called the eighth wonder of the world. The plan's power lies in its psychological framework. Starting with only $100, the stakes are low enough to remove the paralyzing fear of loss, yet the goal is high enough to demand serious engagement. It transforms the abstract idea of investing into a tangible, personal challenge. It is financial literacy through direct, controlled experience. The political implications are subtle but pervasive. In an era of stagnant wages and growing wealth inequality, tools that promise a degree of financial self-sufficiency become politically charged. The 100 Account Growth Plan can be viewed as a form of economic empowerment, a way for individuals to build personal wealth independent of government programs or corporate pension plans. This aligns with certain political philosophies that emphasize individual responsibility and self-reliance. Conversely, critics from other parts of the political spectrum argue that such plans distract from systemic issues. They contend that placing the burden of wealth creation on individuals, starting with a paltry $100, ignores the need for stronger social safety nets, higher minimum wages, and more aggressive wealth redistribution through taxation. The plan becomes a microcosm of a much larger ideological debate about who is responsible for economic well-being, the individual or the state. International reactions to this burgeoning trend vary. In developed economies with mature financial markets, such as the United States, the United Kingdom, and Japan, the plan is often viewed through the lens of personal finance and behavioral economics. Financial publications analyze its viability, while regulators issue cautious statements about the risks involved. However, in emerging markets, the perspective can be quite different. In countries with less developed banking infrastructure but high mobile phone penetration, like parts of Kenya, India, or Brazil, the 100 Account Growth Plan represents a potential leapfrog in personal finance. It offers a blueprint for wealth creation that bypasses traditional banking hurdles entirely. For a person in a rural village with a smartphone and a small amount of disposable income, this plan is not just a hobby, it is a potential pathway to economic participation on a global scale. Socially, the plan is contributing to a shift in cultural attitudes towards money. It encourages a mindset of abundance and opportunity rather than scarcity and limitation. The discipline required to grow $100 through careful, calculated moves fosters patience and analytical thinking. Online communities dedicated to this method are forming, where individuals share their progress, their mistakes, and their strategies. This creates a social fabric woven around financial prudence. It is a counter-narrative to the consumerism that dominates much of modern culture, promoting the idea that small, deferred gratifications can lead to larger future gains. It builds a community of savers and builders in an age of spenders and consumers. Expert-level analysis of the plan focuses heavily on the mathematics of compounding. To understand its potential, one must look at the numbers. If an individual can achieve a consistent weekly profit of just 1% on their account balance, it does not sound like much. But the magic of compounding transforms this modest return. Starting with $100, a 1% weekly return, reinvested every week, would grow the account to over $170 after 1 year. After 2 years, it would exceed $300. The growth is exponential, not linear. The challenge, of course, lies in achieving that consistency. Markets are volatile. No strategy works perfectly every week. The plan, therefore, is not just about picking winners, but about managing losses. The core rule of small risk is paramount. By risking only a tiny fraction of the account on any single venture, a string of losses, while psychologically damaging, will not wipe out the account. It preserves the capital needed for the next opportunity, keeping the investor in the game long enough for the law of large numbers and the power of compounding to work in their favor. The social consequences of this movement extend to the very concept of retirement and long-term financial planning. Traditional models rely on employer-sponsored plans and government pensions, systems that are increasingly strained. The 100 Account Growth Plan represents a do-it-yourself approach to building a nest egg. It empowers individuals, particularly those in the gig economy or without access to traditional benefits, to take control of their financial futures. This shift has profound implications. It could lead to a generation of retirees who are more financially independent and engaged with the markets. However, it also carries the risk of creating a new class of impoverished elderly if these DIY investment strategies fail on a large scale. The social safety net, designed for a different economic era, may not be equipped to handle the consequences of widespread individual investment failure. The plan, in its simplicity, is forcing a global conversation about the future of work, retirement, and economic security. The core principles of small risk, compounding profits, and patience are not just investment advice. They are a philosophy for navigating an increasingly complex and uncertain economic world. We will continue our in-depth analysis of this global phenomenon right after this.